Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday morning, 27th of June, 2023. Mark is going to continue to read in this chapter, in this book, Phillips versus the State of Missouri. He's ready for chapter 7. He's going to read 7 through 8. If you're interested in obtaining a copy of this book, you can go to larrywphillips.com, go to our contact section, and email me and request the book, and I'll be happy to send a copy to you. I'll turn this over to Mark, and he can read chapters 7 through 8.
Chapter 7, the Prophetic Church, Phillips versus State of Missouri, chapters 7 through 8. Chapter 7, the Apathetic Church, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and they shall be turned into fables. 2 Timothy 4:4. One of the most difficult aspects of my situation to deal with the responsible churches. I was an ordained deacon at my home church, but I also had contacts with many other churches in the Kansas City area. I had to keep them abreast of what was happening regarding the case. My wife and I faxed over 100 churches and only got 2 replies. One was very negative. It was from the associated pastor who stated that people like me were the principal cause of trauma, the separation of church and state. He went on to say that he was against my case, and he was for all people's freedom to live their lives they chose, etc. Made a note of this church and realized they probably were one of these churches that support the ordination of homosexuals as pastors. God help us. The more consecutive churches just didn't want to get involved. They knew that this was a politically hot football and they didn't want to be in play. I found they would address abortion, gambling, drug addiction, divorce, and many other sins. They didn't want deal with the issue of licensed homosexuals foster parents. The idea I got about these churches was this: these are not our church members, so it's not really on our priority list. I was appalled that the church was ignoring little children who would be placed in these environments. The reason the gays wanted so much to be approved as foster parents was to take advantage of the state law in Missouri, which says that once foster parent has a child for 24 months, they have right of adopting that child. So the gay foster parent now found a legal way to adopt children in the state of Missouri. Another reason for the great apathy, especially in certain churches, was that our governor was a deacon of one of the mainline churches. Our governor was a staunch supporter of the homosexual movement in Missouri. In fact, I learned much later that he had taken a tremendous amount of money for his campaign for the homosexual community. As many know, our governor died in a plane crash. The last place he had gone before the crash was to Raleigh. His campaign put on a group of homosexuals. We were visiting one church where we were immediately chastised from the members of the church. This church, she asked our names. When we told her by then the case was pretty much all over the news, she stated that she would never sue the state of Missouri and that she felt it was wrong for any person who was a Christian to sue. I found out that there is a great deal of confusion regarding this subject. The Bible tells us let every soul be subject to the higher powers, that goes on to say there is no power but God. So our ultimate commitment needs to be to God himself and not man. Another consideration regarding apathy in the church is where our allegiances lie. Many church members are government employees, school teachers, police officers, firefighters, military personnel, nurses, etc. These folks often become intimidated by a liberal system. Their cultural diversity trains and misunderstanding regarding the separation of church and state issue refuse to get involved when they perceive that this could be a threat to their jobs or ultimately their lifestyle. Only a real revival initiated by God himself can change the hearts and minds of church members. Only God can give us the faith to stand up against homosexuality, divorce, and remarriage, abortion, pornography, and many other heinous sins are endorsed by the broader culture. Chapter 8, ACLJ brings hope. Knowing this is the trying of your faith will be patience, James 1:3. Or the American Center for Law and Justice. Well, I found out the organization is on the cutting edge of legal reinforcement for Christians. The organization is now an international organization. ACLJ takes on hundreds of cases a year. Founded by Pat Robertson of Regent University, the mission is to protect the civil rights of Christians. Christian Organizations Chief Counsel Jay Sekulow now leads ACLJ. Jay has argued cases numerous times before in the Supreme Court successfully. I had heard Christians talk about subject discrimination against Christians prior to my own situation happening. I would listen to programs like Point of View, Sermon for America, Phillips, Chap, broadcast, ACLJ, Focus on the Family, American Family Radio, and Richard Land, and Faith and Family. I believe the good Lord allowed me to be exposed to many issues that will later affect me personally. So these programs were sort of my education, prepared me for a long journey that my family and I would have to face. Prior to my filing a lawsuit against the state of Missouri, I had received a booklet from ACLJ entitled Christian Rights in the Workplace. This little booklet was invaluable to me and served as a continued reference throughout my ordeal. If the ACLJ had not intervened for me, I would not be writing this book, and I would not have been able to continue my lawsuit. Social workers are low paid and generally don't have a huge bank account. As one of those typical social workers, ACLJ took my case by requiring money up front. The legal cost of doing this case to ACLJ was staggering. The ACLJ takes cases based on the principle rather than on what is economically feasible. I had almost given up hope of being able to be represented properly as a Christian who had been reliant and discriminated against. So when ACLJ sent Frank Mannion to Kansas City, I realized that there was hope for my family and all Christians who have stood up for religious beliefs. Many Christian families are going through unbelievable persecution right here in the United States because of the faith. I often wonder how many Christians are experiencing challenges similar to those that I face, but I don't have a clue as where to start amidst their battle. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, tomorrow we're going to get into the 24-hour deposition, the longest deposition in the state of Missouri. Total harassment. 25 years ago. Anyway, you all have a good day, and nothing's changed. God bless.